to say, after seeing the latest Insidious movie, I hope I never need to have an MRI. Let's just say that. Anyway, so in this movie, we see Dalton. He's all grown up. He's ready to head off to college. All the original cast are back. We see Josh and Renee Lambert. They're divorced now. Josh has been dealing with a lot of mental problems. Well, not mental problems per se, but he feels foggy, like he's a little bit slow. And that's due to the fact that him and Dalton have those repressed memories, which leads to them having a very strange relationship because Dalton feels like there's something missing from his past that he can't really figure out. So we see him heading off to college, where he starts to unlock the door to the further and starts to experience astral projection. And at first he thinks it's just a joke, it's fun, it's exciting, but then it starts to turn deadly. So he's aided by his new friend, who I really enjoyed their relationship, and they work together to try to close the door to the further. We also have Lynn Shay and the Ghostbuster wannabes returning, and I like their characters, I really enjoy them, but in this movie it felt like lazy storytelling. It felt like they were just shoved in there somehow in the laziest way possible by just having Lynn Shay's character return as a ghost really quickly at the end. And then she has a video, and the Ghostbuster guys have a video which Dalton finds, and it's that standard scene we see in so many horror movies where the character gets all the information told through finding a newspaper article or something like that, and it can be really good when it's done properly. But this felt like just, I don't know, cheap fan service, to be honest. Fellow Aussie Rose Byrne is in it, but she isn't in it for much, obviously because of the divorce storyline. And with the divorce storyline, then there was a storyline about Josh's mum dying. Well, she's already dead at the start of this movie. And there's a storyline about Josh's father, how he committed suicide. And it just feels like really unnecessary conflict. Like, it doesn't really add anything to the overall story. I felt like they could have had some better storylines and really just focus more on the main conflict. So I felt like they needed to work on character development. As far as the acting, it was okay. Like, all the actors are very established, good actors. And Ty Simpkins as Dalton did a really, really good job carrying this movie. And I really liked the friend, I don't know the actress's name, but his roommate then friend. They had a really fun relationship, and she added a lot of humour to the movie. And I think humour can work really well in serious horror movies because it's meant to break up that tension. But this movie just didn't feel like it had that tension to break up. It didn't really have any scary moments. I'll go more into that a bit later. So as far as Patrick Wilson, with his work in the Conjuring franchise, I feel like he's earned the title of Scream King, and he's great as an actor, don't get me wrong, but this was his directorial debut, and I just have to admit I wasn't very impressed. And I'm not saying that that means he's horrible. This is obviously his first time. And who knows, maybe we'll see more from him and I'll change my mind. But as far as this movie goes, yeah, I think he should stick to acting. So I feel like the sound design was really good. We had those classic Insidious screechy violins, and we had the red-faced demon and the bride in black, all of them back. So the bride in black, I don't even know why they included him because he was in it. Parker Crane was literally in it for like 1 minute. So it was the same thing as Lynn Shay's character and the Ghostbuster guys, as I'm going to continue to call them because I forget their names. I felt like they were sort of just shoved into the movie for fan service to say, hey, look, that character's back, without really utilizing them in any way. The red-faced demon was prominent in this movie, and I have to admit, they did make him more scary because he was very campy in the first two movies. So that was good, but still, there were a few problems for me, I'm not going to admit. But I was happy about the fervor. I feel like the fervor has always just seemed really cheesy and campy, and it's such a scary concept. Astral projecting into a place where there's all these evil spirits, yet it always just has this really campy effect to it. So I feel like the first two movies weren't scary, but they did have quite a few moments of really good tension build up, and they were really good movies overall. The third one wasn't so good, but it did have some scary moments that didn't take place in the fervor. The fourth one just wasn't good overall, but I feel like this one is a bit better than the fourth one. I would say it's on par with the third movie. Like, I know this is probably going to be a really unpopular opinion, but if I had to choose between watching this movie and the third movie, I would probably watch the third movie again. It also lagged at parts, and the big third act climactic moment where Dalton finally gets possessed by the red-faced demon and trapped in the fervor, and his father has to come and rescue him, and they have what's meant to be a touching father-son bonding moment and working past their issues. It feels anticlimactic and like it wasn't earned. I don't know, I just didn't really enjoy it. It just felt really hollow. The plot points felt really recycled. Like, obviously, yes, this is a continuation of the first two movies, so I'm not saying don't stick with the same characters and the further and the red-faced demon, but they could have done something a bit different with it. It just felt very rehashed, and there was a bit of political talking points that I felt like were just sort of put in there to mark off a checklist, sort of, but it didn't really take away from the movie. So all in all, look, I'm not saying it's bad by any means, please don't think that. I would say if you're a fan of the first few movies, it's definitely worth going to see in a cinema. But still, I can't say it's one that I'll rewatch. It was okay, it wasn't bad, it wasn't great, it was just in the middle of the road for me. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Let me know down below what you thought of it. What's your favourite Insidious movie? What's your favourite horror movie of the year that you're looking forward to? I'm really looking forward to The Nun 2 and the, what's that detective movie? I don't know, I'll put a picture in so you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, if you could subscribe or even just give this video a like, it really helps me out. Thanks, guys.